Alright, what's up guys? So, just another random day. Had nothing going on, so I was like, why not make a video? So I thought I would do one about kind of my most popular or my most successful lesson plans that I used in France, just because, I don't know, I think it'd be cool to do the teaching assistant program again, and if I don't, maybe someone else can use these lesson plans. Who knows? I call them lesson plans, but like, they aren't really plans. They were more like, here's the topic that I used or the theme that I used, and I just kind of like went with it. So these are kind of like the things I had the most success with, or the things that my students seem to enjoy the most. Most of my classes were classes of seconds. I had 1 or 2 premiere and 1 or 2 terminale, if I remember. I know I had 1 BTS, a lot of seconds, which is basically like what, sophomores, and then a couple premiere and terminale. So yeah, one of my teachers would usually give me kind of a topic or a theme that she wanted me to do for the week. So like I would, if it was something I didn't know about, I would kind of do research and come up with like videos or clips or pictures or whatever to use and more information to give them. If it was something that I knew a lot about, then I would just kind of go off of what I knew. And one of the teachers generally left it pretty open to what I wanted to do. Occasionally she would have a topic that she would want me to cover if she was doing something in class and she knew that I could talk about it, or that there was like a cultural difference or something. She would give me a topic to do, and then one of the teachers would generally just tell me, like at the very beginning of class, like, okay, talk about this, or I'm just gonna send groups with you and just do conversations. But with him it was always very small groups. He had been an assistant in another country for French, so he kind of knew what he liked as an assistant, and it was generally small groups, just kind of sitting there and talking. So he really understood what my purpose was and kind of what my role was supposed to be. So it was never a problem because it was always things that I could easily talk about and things like that. Alright, so my lesson plans. So I just got this journal at Carrefour, and I just kind of like, I made a page for every week, and I would just like write down what topic I did with each class, and then for each topic I would kind of write out what like the general ideas of what I talked about, and I would, on a note card, and I would put that on the back of the page just so like all of my things were together and I kind of knew what I did and what I was doing and things like that. And also because a lot of my classes I would see small groups, but I would do the same lesson with the entire class, so it would take 2, maybe 3 weeks, depending on the size of the class, to get through an entire lesson. So it was also very helpful to make sure that they all got the same information. So one of the most popular things that I did in class that actually they requested multiple times was to play Heads Up on my phone. And I actually did Heads Up once, and then somewhere, I think it might have been the Facebook group for the assistants this year, I think someone posted about this other app called Charades Kids. It's this one right there. But it just seemed easier than Heads Up. I don't know, it just seemed like things that they could do a lot more easily. I don't know if that makes any sense. But obviously the games were in English, and my rule was that they could only use English to describe what was on the phone to have everyone else guess it. That game works just like Heads Up, so you hold it up and whatever. So that was like the most popular thing, and if we ever had like 5 minutes at the end of class or any free time, or if it was just like a fun week where the teacher was like, just play a game with them, that was generally what I did, because there's so many different categories, and everyone, I usually got everyone to do at least one turn, but there was always a few kids who were like, oh, I'll go again. So that was just a big hit. And because I made them use English for clues, it made sure that everyone was speaking. And it was also cool because sometimes one kid would know what the word was, but others wouldn't, so like, it generally got everybody to participate. I won't say it always worked, but generally. Another really popular thing was that I was fortunate enough to have my mom come visit during the last vacation in April, and I had her bring my high school yearbook from senior year, and that was so popular. I thought of it because I knew my mom was coming, so I was like, Mom, bring that for me so I can like show them, because they don't do yearbooks. So I was like, I want to show them what a yearbook is like, all of the different sports that my school had, how big my school was. Just I wanted to give them another idea of what schools are like, or at least my high school was like, because I know all high schools are different. So I brought that, and that was what I did my very last week with them, as kind of like a fun way to say goodbye. And so I took that, and they sat there for like a half hour straight just looking at the pictures, trying to find me, because I look kind of different, kind of the same, kind of different. I always wore glasses in class when I was teaching though, and so they had never seen me without glasses, so that was a trick for them to find. But that was probably my most successful, most popular thing, was me taking my yearbook. And they also had a lot of fun with me showing them like prom pictures and graduation pictures. It was kind of like a end of the year thing, prom, graduation, and my yearbook. So that was another really popular thing. Another one was to create your own superhero. So they could work in like small groups, they could work by themselves, they had to come up with a name, what they looked like, their superpower, if they had any cool accessories, anything like that. And then at the end they kind of presented their little superhero. So it was fun because they got to sit there and like color and talk with their friends. I made them, generally I tried to get them to stick to English. Doesn't always work, but generally they spoke English. But like they had to describe it all in English and everything, so that was cool. Pictures of my family, my high school pictures went over huge. I had my sister take pictures of our high school that's here, and they were like, that's the coolest thing, because obviously we had lockers all over our high school and they don't have lockers down the halls. In my high school we had a pool, so they thought that the pool was like the coolest thing in the world to them. But pictures of like my family, my town, my school, those were all big hits. Just anytime I could use pictures of my own or anything like that. I wish I had taken more pictures like of my college campus, and just like some of the different stores that we have, like the big stores like Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco, like just to show them how big some of our stores are, because I don't think they can ever truly understand it unless they go there, but seeing pictures is like that next best thing. So I wish I had taken more pictures of those just to kind of like introduce it to them. But yeah, I think those were like my most successful things that I did. Lots of pictures, that game, kind of letting them be creative. And then obviously the yearbook is kind of its own little thing that you can't really do differently. But that was just like a big cultural difference that we do here that they don't. So that was a lot of fun. Sometimes the teachers would request that I would stay in the class and help if they had a project or whatever happening, then I would stay and help out and kind of be like the dictionary. So it also like helped me practice a few words in French that I might not have known, just because they would be like, what's English for blah blah blah, and I'd be like, I don't know. Only sometimes that happened. If it was like something out there, like the one day they were doing like, he was like, okay, you're gonna make a quiz kind of like what you see on BuzzFeed, and it's gonna be like Hunger Games, and at the end of the quiz you have to decide whether or not these people would survive based on your questions. So like certain things that they used for that vocabulary, I was like, not so sure, but the teacher had a computer, just looked it up, so no big deal. So yeah, it all kind of depended on the teacher and the week, but those were kind of the things that I did. I think I did those games with, not just those games, all of those kind of lessons with all of my classes, except for my BTS class. They kind of had their own set thing because they have their stage and all the prep for their presentations and things like that, so I just kind of worked on that with them. But I think these were like my most popular lessons with all of my other classes. Yeah. Some of my favorite classes were even just sitting there, not having like an actual lesson, and just kind of like seeing where the conversation would go. Because I did have a few students who had high enough levels of English, and obviously these were more of my Premier and Terminale students. But there were a couple days where it was just like a couple groups of like 2 or 3 students would come, and we would just sit there and we would just talk. And there were a couple lessons where it was just like the coolest thing ever. There was one day, one of my last few weeks there, the class was watching a movie, and so the teacher was like, if any of you want to go with the assistant, you can go with her, or you can just stay in the room and watch the movie. It's up to you. And there were actually these 3 girls. There's 3 girls who were like, we'll go with the assistant instead of watching the movie. So we literally sat there for an hour and we just talked about like anything and everything. Boys, politics, school, America, everything. And it was like one of my favorite lessons in the world. So I don't know. It all changed every week, every day, with every teacher, but those were definitely the most popular, and they were the things that I used the most. So yeah, hopefully those helped. Even just like for me to document what I did is going to be helpful if I ever do it again. But yeah, I don't know. This is just kind of a random video. I was like, I'm bored, I want to make a video. Why not talk about the lessons that I did so that I have them? Maybe someone else will see this and be like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. Whatever. I don't have anything else to say. So yeah, I guess that's probably it for now. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Oh, country music. Side note, country music was also another really popular thing because they don't really have country music. So I tried to get like a variety of like older country music, newer country music that was more pop, country music that was more like bluegrassy type. I just tried to get like a whole mix of country music and show them, and after each song I would be like, so what did you like, what did you not like, is it different than what you thought country music was? And at the very end I would be like, so what was your favorite song? So that was another really cool thing. If I could, whenever I did music, I always tried to get songs that had the lyrics with them, just because it's easier for them to follow along. But country music was a very popular thing just because it's so different from the music that they have. And yeah, I think that's all for my little side note. So yeah, okay, yeah, I'm done. Bye.